Alright, in this video, I want to talk about why I speak out against the Catholic Church a lot and against the Catholic Church more than the other churches. It's because it is the head, it is the biggest cult, and that's why. It's kind of like if you have a group of 5 people causing trouble in a city, and then you have a group of 1,000 people causing trouble. It's silly if the group of 1,000 are like, why don't you go pick on the people that group of 5 that are doing the same thing? He's like, well, we'll get to them, but the bigger problem is this group of 1,000 that's causing a problem, and it's just silly because you talk to Catholics, and if you speak out against something that's obviously wrong, like let's say not just pedophilia, but the fact that the Catholic Church protects the pedophiles. So it's one thing, okay, yeah, a priest committed pedophilia. But the fact that they protect him is the problem. Because if they just go, okay, yep, give him up to authorities, he did something wrong. But no, they protect him, right? And then they act like, oh, you're a devil, you're a demon attacking God's true church. It's like, what the hell? You're protecting a pedophile, but I'm the bad guy here for saying that's wrong. But, that's how it goes because it's a cult. They're brainwashed. Because Catholics are Catholics because they were born Catholics. It's very rare that someone converts, and if they convert, it's because they're getting some kind of benefit from it through political or some other means. They're not doing it because they actually believe in Catholicism. But anyway, I like this little thing that popped up first when you put in what is a cult, and it fits the Catholic Church to a T. If you have all 5 of these, you're a cult, right? And this is not to exclude the Protestants, because the Protestants are the same way. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But it says here, every cult can be defined as a group having all of the following 5 characteristics. It uses psychological coercion to recruit, indoctrinate, and retain its members. That's exactly what the Catholic Church does, saying they have the keys to hell and heaven, and they send whoever they want to hell and whoever they want to heaven. And if you're not part of that true church and do what they say, you're going to hell and you're going to burn forever. That's psychological coercion. And it's mainly to retain, because I don't see a lot of people really converting. But anyway, that's the main point there. It goes on in part 2 here. It forms an elite totalitarian society, and that's exactly what it has. You got the Pope at the head, and it got this clergy of cardinals and bishops and deacons and whatnot, and they got this hierarchy that is separated from the laymen, and the laymen are there just to support this society of supposed priests and whatnot. It's number 3 here. Its founder, leader, is self-appointed, dogmatic, messianic, not accountable, and has charisma. There's your Pope. Self-appointed head of the church. Self-appointed vicar of Christ, or Christ on earth, which makes him messianic, makes him Christ. He's not accountable because he is infallible, so he cannot be wrong. And they do change, and some have charisma, some have more than others. This is your Pope. 4, it believes the end justifies the means in order to solicit funds and recruit people. Yeah, they believe that they're saving souls and that they're God's true church, so anything they do is going to be obviously beneficial and actually justify any means they go about doing it. And 5, this is one of the biggest, most blatant ones. Its wealth does not benefit its members or society. Yeah, the Catholic Church does not benefit its members with its vast amount of wealth, And it definitely doesn't benefit society at all with that wealth either. I know where I grew up, we had a giant cathedral at the end of the street, and just a block away we had the bar, and all on that street we had a bunch of meth labs. A few of those places burned down, some of them ended up becoming condemned, and it's just right outside the church. Uh, just a hop, skip, and jump away. I see some Catholic churches around here, and they got a bunch of poor people really packed together in buildings all around the church, and the church is pretty nice, and it's just kind of like, shouldn't the church be helping the people? But instead they guilt them into coming in and giving their tithes to the church. And if anybody, and this the Protestants do the same thing, just this is the Catholic Church is the head, the biggest one, the biggest problem, is if anybody actually needs help, whether they're part of the church or part of the neighborhood of the church, they will get the members to donate money, donate food. They'll run maybe a bake sale, do some bingo or some other kind of raffle to get money out of the people to then help out others. They're not going to give their own money from the actual church. That's not going to happen. So this is why I speak out against it, because it is the biggest cult in the world, and it obviously is. But then, if you actually accept Jesus, you read the Bible, which, if you're Catholic, you should, because you see, Catholics claim to be the one true church, and they claim to be God's representative on earth. But where did they get that authority? Can they just claim that themselves? What do they use to try to prove that? Well, they use the Bible, right? They say, oh, well, the Bible in Matthew 16, Jesus supposedly calls Peter the rock that the church is built on. And in, I believe it's Timothy, it talks about the church being the pillar of truth, right? Well, what you're saying there is that the Bible is the authority. The Bible is the Word of God. So we should go to the Bible because it's the Word of God, right? Because that's what gives the church its authority. If the Bible gives the church the authority, the Bible is above the church. Because then, how can it give you its authority? If you're above the Bible, you would give the Bible its authority. Right? It's common sense. So, the Bible is the foundation, even of the Catholic Church. They admit it, but they don't live by that. So, if we go into that, just real quick, something I've gone over in other videos, talking about prophecy. In Daniel chapter 2, we get a statue talking about the kingdoms of the earth until Jesus comes back. And when Jesus comes back, you see in this picture up here, a stone is going to come and hit the foot. This is at the end of time. Babylon is the first kingdom, and as time goes by, we got Medo-Persia, as described here, and then Greece conquers, and then Rome conquers, which is iron legs, and the feet are made of iron and clay. This is papal Rome. Rome doesn't end, right? And this is a continuation of Babylon. The papal Rome is Babylon. The rock comes and hits the feet and destroys the whole statue. And God establishes his kingdom. Right? So we can see who Babylon is. And like I said, I get into more detail in other videos about this. But we go to Revelation chapter 17 at verse 5, and it says, on her forehead, this is the harlot, the mother of harlots here, Mystery Babylon, says, on her forehead was written the name of mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of prostitutes and of earth's abominations. Now, I don't know, I have the ESV. This is probably just the first one that popped up when I put this up. But we can see here that Babylon is a harlot. And a harlot is someone, well, is actually a church that has married the world, has gone after the world instead of God. Israel played the harlot when Jesus was on earth, and they said they had no king but Caesar. So their king was no longer God, it was a man, and man means government. They joined church and state. That's harlotry, joining church and state. Church is joined to God, not the state. And the church ended up joining with the Roman Empire, became Papal Rome. That's harlotry. And all the Protestants have done the same, as it says here. She's the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And what have the Protestants done? They're all 501c3 organizations, which makes them organizations of the actual government. There's certain things that they can't really speak on, or else they lose their tax exempt status. And a lot of them want to be joined with the state, and a lot of them want more power with the state. So they're committing the same adulterous act here and committing the same abomination. But we can see that the mother is the Catholic Church. That's the problem. That's the head. That's where most of the people are. But we're told to come out of Babylon, and it's not just the Catholic Church, it's all of the churches. They're all part of Babylon. It's all these divisions. We need to all unite under Jesus and the body of Jesus, because there's people like, oh, well, I'm Catholic, or I'm Lutheran, I'm Calvinist, I'm a Baptist, I'm a Presbyterian, a Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witness. You know, you got all these people that are all in these different sects, but they're all just divisions of the confusion of Babylon, that they all have little bits of the truth mixed with a bunch of bullshit. And we need to just come out of that. But like I said, the biggest one, the head, is the Catholic Church. That's why I speak out against it the most, because it's the main one that's also talked about in prophecy. It's the biggest actual problem. And it's a giant harvest of a lot of people that I know want to accept Jesus. And they will, and they'll be saved. I know there's saved people throughout the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, and all the Protestant churches. Even in none of those churches, you know, even in Islam, not because of what they believe, but because they accept Jesus, all over the world. And they're not saved because of the church they're in. They're saved because of their faith in Jesus. And they are doing their best they can with the knowledge they got. And, you know, God's merciful, and He knows us. And as long as we're judging ourselves, we should be on the right path. But anyway, thanks for hearing me out, and take care.